the doctor's opinion today. We're going to walk through it in 3 parts. The doctor's opinion. When the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous was started, they asked Dr. Silkworth to write his prognosis. And he wrote a letter. And it just kind of outlined what this thing called addiction really was. And so that's, I believe, if you don't get this, you can't get the rest of the program. And I just gave a definition of what a prognosis is. It says a doctor's opinion about how someone will recover from an illness or injury. That's what a prognosis is. When we go and they give us their prognosis, what they think is going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what Dr. Silkworth done with this letter. He kind of outlined what would happen if we followed the program, what would happen if we didn't. That's good stuff. A judgment about what is going to happen in the future. Now, he's not a fortune teller, but you know, we go to the doctor and they say, all right, these are the steps you need to do. You need to take this medicine, you need to do this, you need to whatever, right? They'll tell you, they'll kind of predict the future that you'll probably be all right. But if you don't, this is what will happen. You know? Sometimes we listen to that, sometimes we don't. Right? Yeah. But for whatever reason, we will believe the doctor when we go for medical treatment. Those of us that's in recovery, we have a hard time with the prognosis that Dr. Silkworth gave when it comes to addiction. As my mama used to say, we don't believe fat means greed. Mm-hmm. You know, and so we struggle with what he says because he talks about a few things. One is that this thing is a disease. We struggle with that. Not only us, our society struggles with that. This is the only disease that people struggle with. We don't struggle with cancer. We don't struggle with diabetes. We don't struggle with any of that. People are sympathetic when we say we have it. Our society is not sympathetic with this disease. We say it's weakness, and you ought to just stop. Right? You can control that. We don't tell a man with cancer that. You ain't really got no cancer. You ought to just man up. You just weak. Or you want to do that. That's the other. And that's the dilemma that we find ourselves in, and that's what confused me. And when I got here and they read Romans 7:15 and 16, it gave me revelation into me. Look at what Paul says here. He says, I don't understand myself at all. Mm-hmm. A light went off because I was confused. With who? Me. Because I used when I didn't want to, and I used more than I intended to, and that confused me. And it's the Bible here. Paul wrote 13 epistles, books in the Bible. But here he says, I don't even understand myself, what? At all. Any of y'all can relate to that? Yeah. Where you confuse yourself? Yeah. Then he says, I really want to do what is right, but I can't. Yeah. So that brother was filled up with good intentions. You know the old saying, they say, you know what? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And that's what Paul was saying, you know. He said, man, I intended to do what was right, but I can't. Then he goes on and says, I do what I don't want to. God, somebody. I do what I don't want to. That's what confused me the most, because I would try to explain my dilemma to people and they didn't understand it. Yeah. You wanted to do that. Like, no, I didn't. You knew you was going to use. No, I didn't. I was really on my way to the store. I promise you I was. No, you wasn't. You knew you wasn't coming back. No, I really left going to the store. I wasn't going to beat you up. I wasn't going to take your money. I love you. You lie. We didn't have that. You didn't have that, right?
Yeah.
You tried, no, you don't. No, really, I didn't intend to. Paul described me in a way I could relate. He said, instead I do the very thing, and he says a word that I hate. And so I was filled with self-loathing. You know, because I didn't like me. I didn't like what I was doing, but I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Y'all can relate to that, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't enjoyable. I stopped liking getting high long time ago. I just couldn't stop. That's what sin is. It typically starts out fun. You know, I heard people in the room say, I never had no fun getting high. Well, I did. I did. Oh, the Johnson's family reunion, I was getting dressed and getting ready to walk out the house, and I was watching this little show, and Maze came on, and before I knew it, my hips got loose. Whoa, come on back, brother, come on back. But my hips, and I started to think about, boy, I had some fun.
Yeah.
Listening to that. But it changed. And my disease got into the chronic stage, and it was no longer fun, but I was trapped. And I hated it, and I wanted to stop, but couldn't.
Yeah, really.
That's what the doctor's opinion is about. He explains why, and it's good information, because now I understand why I couldn't. Check this out. It says, in this statement, he, Paul, confirms what we who suffer from alcoholic torture must believe. Alcoholic what?
Torture.
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 We torture. Y'all know what torture is, right?
Yeah.
You know, in America, when they were, you know, they said, you know, waterboarding is illegal. You know, it's some forms of torture that even the military say, you know, we can't even go that far. Well, alcohol ain't got that. It takes us to a place, it's worse than waterboarding. It feels like it anyway. Alcoholic torture. It says the body of the alcoholic is quite abnormal as is mine. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
That my body is abnormal and my mind is abnormal. Now I knew my mind was abnormal.
Yeah.
My mama knew that when I was in the sandbox. How old is he right there? Oh yeah. I had already been diagnosed by that time. It went a little something like this. My mama said, boy, there's something wrong with you. I just can't put my finger on it. My mama knew I was abnormal early on. Some of y'all heard that too, right?
Yeah.
Early on. I said, what's wrong with you? Girl, there's something wrong with you. Them old people, when they couldn't figure it out, they would just say, I can't put my finger on it. I confused my mama. Josh, when they integrated school, I guess it must have been about 67, 68, 69, somewhere in there. Anyway, I grew up in the country, and when they integrated school, they done it when I was going to the 3rd grade. So they bused us to Gary Elementary School, which was a white school. And so on my 3rd grade class picture, when they said smile, I done that. They said, no, you can't do that. We're gonna, you know, they can pallet you. She said, we're gonna pallet you. I said, I ain't gonna do it this time. Says chief. So I ain't gonna bow. And she paddled me. My mama said, boy, what's wrong with you? They'll kill you. I said, Mama, I'm not bowing. I'm like his age. I'm in the 3rd grade. She said, boy, something wrong with you. Y'all know that's crazy, right? I didn't have have nothing to attach it to, but my mind was abnormal at an early age. Now, I hadn't took no substance yet. I was just a little thrown. But I bet y'all can go back and find some instances way before you took any mood-altering chemical. Yeah. You were abnormal. Yeah. Now, the earth people, we call them, you know, see, Sister Diane probably wouldn't have done that. She, you know, she may be a little old too, but she probably would say, no, I have no sense not to do that. That's why we call them earth people and we from somewhere else. Because we do and know a little bit further than other people. Y'all get the point? Yeah. Because I had seen that when the brothers done that, John Carson them. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Pow! They tore my butt up. And so they decided that I wasn't in the picture. They didn't let me take a picture. Because I wasn't going to relent. And that's the same thing that got me out there and I wouldn't stop. You see what I'm saying? Say this and I move on. We got this thing in us that says that we will not relent, and we think we're going to beat this thing, but you can't beat this thing. How you beat this thing is by surrendering to this thing. That's what step one is. Step one says, I admit that I'm powerless over my addiction and my life has become unmanageable. So that bullheadedness to say that I will not surrender is what keeps you staying out there for so long. You can't beat this. It said it didn't satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life. We're and I'll go into that a little deeper in a few minutes. We're maladjusted to life. That we were, this right here is even worse. We're a full flight from reality. Full flight from reality. Wow. Full flight. Talking to one of us, confuse you when you're trying to tell us some truth, and you be like, no, you can't see reality. No. I'm talking to a brother today for 2 hours. I had to catch myself. He like, no, I don't see it that way. Like, brother, this it? No. Then I remember, he pulled back from reality. Ain't nothing wrong with him, there's something wrong with me. You know, I'm supposed to abort the process and say, all right, man. Yeah. My job is to present the truth, not to convince you of the truth. Right. And move on. Wow. I'm crazy than you are for trying to convince you. I'm just supposed to present the truth and let the consequences of life bring you to reality. That's what bring addicts to reality. See, you can't speak this thing into existence. You gotta let addicts live this thing into existence. Y'all see the difference? So you just can't tell us. You gotta just get back and allow us to experience it. Then we'll have an experience where we'll come to ourselves. Then we'll say, oh, now I see. Yeah. Now I see what you were saying. We see clearly then. Full flight from reality. We're outright, it gets even worse. Mental what? Defective. Well, he said some bad stuff about us, don't he? A mental defective. Well, I had to look all those words up. Chronic addicts must believe 3 things for recovery to be possible. 1, their minds and bodies have been affected by prolonged addiction. Their mind and their body has been affected. So guess what, y'all? When I try to get clean, I have to understand that it's something wrong with my body and it's something wrong with my mind. That's why we have the medical van coming out there. And brothers go out there and the average client got about 9 bottles of pills. About 4 of them for physical things and about 4 of them for mental things. Because if something wrong, with both. Shoot, we supposed to clean up this week, and they were like, oh, can we go on Fridays? I said, no, you can't go on Fridays. On Tuesdays, we see about our body. On Fridays, we see about our mind. She said, ain't gonna be nobody here? No. Will not be one client left, because we all going.
Okay.
To see the shrink. There was one brother left, and he needs to be gone too. Their mind and body has been affected. That don't mean that we can't recover and we don't come back, because we do. But we have to first acknowledge that, you know what, there's something wrong with my mind. My thinking ain't like other people thinking. All I got to do is get around some normal people and they give their perspective. And I give mine. Now, one thing I have learned is to not let the crazy out in certain places.
Yeah.
You know, well, Obie, what you think? Really? Then I have to go through about 9 different scenarios till I can get to one that's socially acceptable for the crowd, Derek, that I'm in. That's why I love the fellowship, because I can let my crazy out unadulterated and nobody say, ah! They just say, I identify. Yeah. And it'd be, you know, it'd be a relief when we can do that. That's why we have to go to the fellowship where we can get around some people where we can share our truth and not scare people. Because we'll scare people.
Yeah.
I'm thinking a little bit off. So, if y'all getting nothing there, be careful who you let the crazy out around. Everybody ain't ready for your truth. No, tell me what you're really thinking. You don't know. That number 2, that they are maladjusted to life. Maladjusted to life. Which just means, y'all, we're sociably unmanageable. We don't adjust right to normal social situations. We can be in a perfect environment and we just don't operate right. We be awkward. That's why we need the fellowship and to be around, because we can be in a, we leave a perfectly good home to go live outside.
Yes.
And when normal people be trying to reason with us and bring in logic, don't you want to be at home rather than out there in that abandoned house that you're in? No. A more comfortable. I was sharing, and one of the ladies, I shared this, I said, you know, I am most comfortable in the hood, on the block, around a barrel, with a whole bunch of cussing and fighting and shooting and cussing, than I am in here. Like, really? Like, yeah. I feel at home there. It's when I get around y'all normal people that I feel awkward. And I had to learn how to be all right. That's why we leave, y'all. When we be in a perfectly good situation, and y'all be nice, family members and people, ain't nothing wrong with y'all. We just maladjusted. We just uncomfortable. And so we leave, and you be trying to figure it out. What did I do? What did I say? What was wrong? Nothing. I was telling Sister Jackson, she would question herself when that sister left. I was like, Sister Jackson, what should I have said? What did I do? What could I have done? Nothing. The brother came, and he said, let's go. And that was a familiar person she was getting high with. You are no match for that. Stay here at the church, pray, be healthy, get clean, go get high. Shoot, go and get high. Let me pray with you. I ain't got time for that. What you need to do is give me my money. And we gonna go. That's the maladjusted. Y'all with me? And it takes us a while to get comfortable. Hope that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Maladjusted, failing or unable to cope with the demands of normal social environments. I explained that. Number 3, it says that they currently are outright mental defectives. Definition: mental defectives is a danger to themselves or to others. See, we're a danger to ourselves, we're injurious to us, and if you get too close to us before we are ready, we're a danger to you too. It is best to let us go. We will hurt you. I remember the first time I scared myself. I think it was about 1986. And that was when microwaves first came out. And I had bought this big microwave, and the lady I was with, and I had tipped in there in the middle of the night, and I was tipping. Microwave was big then. And she turned that light on. And said, "Don't take that." I said, "Get out in front of the door, or I'll hurt you." And I did that. And after the money was gone, I was so hurt and so remorseful, and I didn't understand. Oh, my first time doing something, but I meant that. It was a big old microwave too. I was tipping in the door, and her nose itself. And she should have been asleep. She was watching me, sister, and caught me. Turn that light. And I knew then that it was something, but I was dangerous to her. And I'm not a violent person or nothing, but I was going out that door. So you know what that meant? I was dangerous to her. I was dangerous to her. That's why we have to be careful. We don't mean no harm. We're just dangerous. We're dangerous mentally. We're dangerous physically. We're dangerous to ourselves and to us. So when we say we finna go, it's best to kind of let us go. One of the brothers, I won't call his name, when Pastor Parker first came here as the director, and the brother said he was gonna go get high, he took the brother's battery off his car. So the brother couldn't leave. That brother called the police and told them the truth, that I am trying to go get high, and this man at this treatment center then took my battery. The police came, true story, and said, get a man his battery so he can go get high. Pastor was thrown out. But listen to what he's saying. You gotta let him go. Joe called the police, and the police came down here and made him get him his stuff so he could go get high. That brother clean, with about 15 years clean today. So there is a God, he's able. But that day, that brother was going to get high. Wow. Ain't that tough? Or lacks the mental capacity to contract or manage their own affairs, lacks the mental capacity. We just don't have the coping skills. That's a better way of saying it. We don't have the coping skills to deal with life on life terms. We don't have the capacity. We'll acquire it later, but his prognosis was that we don't have it at the moment. Y'all got it? And we can't manage our own affairs, and that's tough. That's the double whammy of step 1. It's tough enough for me to say, I'm powerless over my addiction. But it's even harder for me to say, I gotta let somebody else manage my money. Help me to make decisions. Boy, that's tough. Because I may be able to let you give me some advice, giving you my money? That's horrible. But these brothers cry when they have to come in and turn in their check. Sisters too. Wasn't it hard for you to get your money, Miss Jackson?
Yes.
And then gotta ask her for your own money?
Yeah.
And she be like, nah. What? That make you go smoke 2 cigarettes. Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to let somebody manage because I had this thing. It's not that the information is bad. Me and my wife struggle with this all the time because I feel like even when she's right, she's trying to control me. And I don't want to be controlled. So I act out. I don't want to do it just cause you said it. Was it right? That ain't the point. You know what the point is? Because you said it. And I'll lie and say, it's the way that you said it. Because I got to find some reason not to do it. You know, it's the way you said it. You know, I don't mind doing it. I would have done it. But it's the way you came at me. Yeah. Ian, let's raise your hand if you done done that. You know what? The Earth people that raise their hands in here, and I don't think that's the truth. You ain't never done that? Nah, she probably from Earth. You from Earth? Huh? Yeah. So you probably telling the truth. It's cause we mental defectives. We're extremists. That's all it means. We're just extremists. We're defiant. We're self-centered. We're egotistical. In the extreme, the book says. Yeah. Allergic types, let me hear it. It says, we believe and so suggest a few years ago that the actions of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy. It's a manifestation of an allergy. We are allergic. And see, normal people who are allergic to something don't do it. You know? We had a brother that was in the program. He liked fish, but fish he would just break out sweating, and his throat would swell up, and he get hives all over. And that joker would just sit there and eat that fish and just be sweating and hiding. So man, you already don't be. Because why are you doing this? And I had to realize that, you know what? That's why he in the program. This fool will eat that fish and be about to die. Just sweat, throat swole up. But he said, man, but I like fish. I said, boy, you crazy as hell. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. But I had to realize that's the same thing I done with alcohol and drugs. I knew I was allergic, but I kept doing it. Normal people, when they find out that they're allergic to something, they stop. No, for the most part. You know, they be looking at it, they be like, you know, what's in that? They be real curious too. You know, I don't get those little fruity drinks when I go places because I'm scared, because I don't, you know, they may mix it up. Took this joker out to eat. What you order?
Arnold Palmer.
Man, I ain't gonna even buy your lunch. When you go on to eat with somebody right off the bat, would you like some water, some tea? No, I want an arm corn. I just got mad. One here.